at the same way. When we have seen this, all this natural resources, how we are utilizing it, especially for in the form of fuels. This coal is very, very important for this constructions and even for the thermal power plants and even to run the industries. Yes, I'll show you once again. How this destructive distillation takes place in the next coming classes. I'll show you, and how we get all this in even with the industrial activity and even in the laboratory techniques also, how we obtained all these byproducts from the coal. So all these are the wise thinking power of the human to get different components from the raw materials. And from these different components, different uses can be different activities can be done with these different components. You never heard about the coal tar and coke? It's not coke. These two are very much usable in the perfumes and dyes, all this coal tar, and coke is used as a fuel in the industry. I'll show you. I want to just give you like introduction about the coal, how it forms, but in brief we are going to. Not the drinking coke. It's a kind of a fuel which can be obtained from coal in the absence of air. Okay. Yes. Okay, so we have discussed about the things like renewable and non-renewable. Renewable means within the period of time we can replace the resources, though we use also there is no end, though there is no finish for the resources. When it comes to the non-renewable resources, so these non-renewable resources are also available in huge amount in the nature or in the atmosphere, or we can also use it legally. Okay, it's not much efforts if we use legally within a limited point. But if we go and overuse this natural resources, definitely it comes under non-renewable. Means within the fraction or within the period of time, it cannot be replaced because it takes millions of years to replace how much we are using it. So now we are feeling like, okay, but the coming generation, they won't get all these natural resources because we are using it. We are overusing it. Only the limited proportions can be used. So when we are doing all these bad deeds to the nature, definitely nature will repel, react. This is the thing we are facing it now. Yes or no? Nature is also not supporting to us because what we have done with all the bad deeds, we release so much pollution in the atmosphere, we affected. Yes, more nature. Especially we used to play, no mobile phones, no technology. We used to play happily. We are also from CBSE background. Many activities, many more sports days. Happily we used to enjoy. Not all these amusement parks, constructed parks, but in the nature itself, so many trees around us. We used to climb. Yes. So leave it with the mobiles. At that time, no mobiles, no calling. We used to stick to the timings. We used to play. We used to enjoy. We used to study. With nature. And so many technology, so much of technology, so much of this thing. But we used to go with the nature. No much pollutions. Rarely we used to find cars, and only in few houses which are, whoever can afford to buy. No ACs. When I come to the college level, I can feel that like ACs are present and we got our AC, but before no ACs. If it is summer, we used to enjoy the summer under the fan. If it is winter. But nowadays, we are very much comfortable by taking all these things. How we are getting electricity, children? How we are getting electricity? Before, simply we used to run hydroelectric powers. But now, thermal power plants. This coal is used to run the industry. Windmills, rarely they are using. Nowadays, we are using where? Thermal power plants. These thermal power plants, the main fuel is nothing but coal. How this coal we are getting it? We are getting it from mining. We are getting the coal from mining. Understood? Yes or no? Understood or not? So this mining process, when we go and mining, getting the coal, that the huge amount, because or to run all the industries, also the fundamental fuel for to run the normal industry, also coal is required. So we are keep on digging the earth from the earth crust. Mining means from the earth crust, they keep on digging it and getting the coal. So where is the strongness and fitness to the soil? So definitely there is a chance of collapsing. They are digging the soil, they're coming to the city levels. So finally the buildings are constructed above the soil, above the land. So they won't be much stronger. Leave about the buildings and leave about the construction field. But what about the plants? Is there any, what I mean, any strongness to the plant? If they're digging the land for the mining process, yes, it leads to soil erosion. It leads to soil erosion. So let me show you a best video. I want to try to show you this video. Actually, I just get that video 1 minute for this inexhaustible and exhaustible resources. Let me, can I get just off my audio? A pleasant smell. But the perfumes are nothing but they are nothing but a fuel. We shouldn't use much. When we use this perfume in presence of a fire, immediately it catches fire and immediately it spreads. But these pleasant smells are due to essence what they'll add. This pleasant smell due to essence. So when we bake a cake, the cake itself is having a different raw smell when we add egg or something else. But in order to take the flavor, though we won't add direct vanilla pods in it, we just add the essence. So that when we eat the cake, when after baked cake, so what we feel like eating that vanilla, this thing only. Understood or not? Yes? Yes? So in that point of view, these perfumes are like, they are made up of this, what I mean to say, this kodar or somewhat. But these, by adding essence, they'll give the pleasant smell based on the essence what you'll add. So for example, there are different kinds of perfumes or deos are there. So when you add the essence of like chocolate, you'll feel like it's like chocolate flavor only. The real chocolate won't be added in it. Understood or not, Akshay? Did you got the answer, Akshay? So how this fossil fuels, how this petroleum or the crude oil obtained? So all these are the byproducts. I think audio is not audible, but I'm going to explain it by showing that audio. I'll give my voice over. So these are the drillers from the oceans or the land crust. They'll drill the petroleum or the coal from the resources. So these comes under exhaustible resources. Why? Because if we are keep on using these natural resources, yes, am I right? Understood? We are correlating the concept with this video. Okay, so these natural resources which comes under exhaustible, why they comes under exhaustible way? They're available now at present. They are available much. Okay, but for the coming generation, if we are at present generation, if we are using much amount of this natural resources, it's very difficult for the next coming generations. So there won't be any fuel. Okay, they're like natural resources, like there won't be any forest, drinking water, all this will be exhausted. Like how the species, animals, did we having all the species of animals at present? Dinosaurs are present yet now. And we are conserving for resources are nothing but especially tigers. If they exist once, they won't be further generations to see it. They'll be exhausted, they'll be like fossils only. Understood? Keeping all these things, so we need to conserve the natural resources and we can use the natural resources. Natural resources are meant for the human activities. We know even not only for the human activities, even plants and animals also require natural resources. But up to some extent, beyond the limit if you are using it, so they will be exhausted. There will be an end because within the period of time they can't be renewed. So when they completely finished off, so that the next coming generation, they can't see all this, and they started suffering. They'll start suffering by what we can say, that by placing an end to all these natural resources at present generations. And it's very difficult to exist life on Earth. Finally, at one point, there will be no life on Earth if we use all these activities in overuse. That's why we'll go with the marathon walks, and that's why we're using the cycling. So weekly, twice, we are stopping using these automobiles. Why? Because like twice per week, if we stop using that vehicle, so it's nothing but it's like saving of this natural resources for the next coming generations. So no. So all these are the drillers. Have you seen? So drilling machines, they drill the process of separation of constant petrols as refining. It's carried out by the petroleum refineries. So this petroleum, they just drill it, they'll dig the ocean crust and even the soil crust, and they'll be all these are the conservative measures to conserve the natural resources or not to use overly. So because we are very much comfortable by using this, so once we are comfortable at present stage, we can't go back. So at least if we conserve, limit use of these fuels by taking all these preventive measures, and even especially when we cook the food, always says that we need to cover the container with the lid. So when we cover it with the less consumption of fuel, the cook will easily cooked off. So if we open the lid, the water will be evaporated, the food won't be cooked, and it takes much time, and it requires much fuel also, like gas, LPG. So that all these are the preventive things to conserve the natural resources, so that the next upcoming generations also can enjoy all these natural resources abundantly without any scarcity of it. Understood? I am going to explain it. Those are the fractional from the fractions from the what we mean to say like petroleum. This I'm going to explain you in the next coming sessions, like a fractional distillation process. Understood, children? Understood by seeing the video? Is it clear? Yes, is it clear? Yes, so we have discussed about the exhaustible, inexhaustible natural resources, renewable and non-renewable natural resources. We know very much what are the effects if we completely use the natural resources, and when they are exhausted completely, so there is to exist life on Earth, it's very difficult. So Ronak, you have asked me about LPG and CNG. They are from the natural gas. This natural gas, they'll be compressed by using different pressures and maintain some. These two are the different conditions, like pressure and temperature is to be maintained to convert the gas into liquid state, and it's completely compressed and refilled in the cylinders. So they'll be like liquid fuels. Okay. So inexhaustible natural resources means minimum pollution, hazardous waste products readily available without mining or drilling. So inexhaustible means there is no end for it. Exhaustible means completely ends. If ends and that cannot be replaced, definitely there is a chance of facing scarcity of the natural resources, especially the drinking water, forest, fossil fuels. Fossil fuels very, very important. No fuels, no life or no food only for us. Again, we need to be back to the burning of the like wood and all. No comforts and no power also. Hydroelectric is that is different, and that is nothing but that is inexhaustible. When it comes to thermal power plant, if no coal is there, so no thermal power plant, and many industries got closed and no employment. Finally, there will be much effect finally economically and even physically, and even the need comforts will be ended. Understood? So fuels. What are fuels? Fuels are the materials that can be used to produce heat. So we have discussed about introduction part, like natural resources. Again, natural resources are of two types: living and non-living natural resources, with different examples. And what are the use like how plants and animals and human beings are using these natural resources, that we have discussed. And we have discussed about renewable and non-renewable resources, and which is followed by exhaustible and inexhaustible resources. Now we are going to discuss about what are fuels. What are fuels? So fuels are nothing but if any substance which burns and produces heat and energy, that considered as fuel. So it's nothing but the material which burns, in the sense what that material called as, it's nothing but a combustible material. The material is called as a combustible material. Okay, so what do you mean the combustible material? The substance which produces heat and on burning are called combustible material. And one thing I want to say, that all the combustible materials are considered as fuels, children. All the combustible, if any material burning and giving heat and energy, that means it is combustible material. Is that all the combustible materials are considered as fuels? I want the answer. Not always. No, really. But combustible materials, it is having some ignition temperature, it catches fire and it burns. But it won't give tremendous potential energy which it is having it, and it won't shows, and it won't acts like a fuel. For example, here three different examples are there. One is paper, one is wood, and one is coal. Here wood and coal acts as a fuel. Am I right? But when it comes to the paper is a combustible material. All the three are combustible materials. Paper is also combustible material, but it won't act like fuel. Why? Because it is not having that much potential energy which can be acting like a fuel. Understood? Understood or not? Not understand. Yes. So that means fuel is nothing but any substance which burns and produces heat, that considered as fuel. What is that burning substance is called? That is called combustible substance. Combustible substance which is having some ignition temperature. When we ignite this thing, it catches fire, it releases heat and energy. Heat, light and energy, it's a kind of energy. But all the substance which burns are called combustible substance, but all the combustible substance won't comes under fuels. The best example I can give you like three examples. Paper can burn, wood can burn, and coal also. But these two releases tremendous heat energy and it acts like a fuel. But when it comes to paper is having tendency to burn, but it won't act like a fuel. Understood? So we are discussing about combustible substance. Yes, we are discussing about the combustible substance. Children, what do you mean by paper won't act like a fuel, children? In what sense? We are just giving the paper to burn the other substance. It is used to ignite it. How many papers you'll add to lead a company? How many papers are required? Tell me, Ronak. So to lead a company, how much? So we'll be beside the paper, we'll be beside the wood, and we'll be beside the hot coal. All the three got ignited. All the three got burned. So paper we can bear the heat energy. Can we be near to the wood and coal? We can be nearly stand how nearly we are standing beside that paper at the same distance we can stand with coal and wood. No. Why? Because Their energy, the releasing energy is much more higher when we compare with paper. Understood? It's like when we compare the fuel, I'm not declaring, understood, Ronak? I'm not declaring that paper is not a fuel. When we compare with other element, if we go with the energy difference, the rate of energy released by the substance. But tell me that paper is used to burn the substance, but with the paper we can't run the industry as a fuel. Can we run? Can we run? By using these papers, huge amount of papers, we can run an industry to produce heat energy as a fuel. That's what I mean to say. Okay, next. I think this is your last slide. I haven't completed. Yeah. Like actually till here. So what are fossil fuels? Coal, petroleum, natural gas are called fossil fuels. What do you mean by fossil fuel, children? The fuels which are obtained naturally by the natural phenomenon like plants and animals get decomposed beneath the earth crust, beneath the sea crust, below the rocks. So there will be high temperature and high pressure inside, deep inside the earth. So they decompose and they convert into fossil fuels. That's why when we go with the mining process, this mining process will be from the underground of the earth crust. They'll go deep inside and they'll horizontal, they dig the beneath layers of the earth and they'll gather the coal. How this coal is formed, as I have already shown, I have shown you the video. In the next coming class, I'll show you a clear video how these fossil fuels are converting, and they convert into different forms of fuels like coal, oil, and natural gas. How they are obtained by the different process. I'm going to show you all. Understood? So when it comes to the fossil fuels, coal, petroleum. Why? Oh, you want to see this one? Yes, you want me to show this slide only, or Ronak? Yeah. Okay. So what are the fossil fuels? Fossil fuels, coal, petroleum, natural gas. How they are obtained? They are obtained from the earth crust. Let me show you 2 minutes video how they form. Shall I? Or shall I explain and I'll show you in the next coming class? You want to see? 2 minutes video I want to show you. How this form, different steps, how they form. Understood, children? About the fossil fuels. Once again, I'll explain you when I'm explaining this carbonization, the stages of coal, different stages of coal, how they form, and what are the different kinds of stages, how this coal is formed from peat, lignite, bituminous, anthracite, all these are the different stages. What is the period of conversion of peat, and that is the initial stage of fossil fuels to the final stage of coal. So these are the different stages we are going to learn in the next coming class sessions. Okay.